Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Saddest Night Out. My name is Roy, and I'm the host of this daily podcast, and it's primarily about music and creative culture in London. It's been a while since I've put an episode up. My procrastination is really getting the better of me, more of which I will talk about after today's conversation. So to somewhat make up for lost time, I am speaking to numerous guests on today's episode, as you can probably tell from the title. So those guests in this order are Joseph Hitchcock, aka Paper Anthem, James Crowley, Nicole-Poppy Schade, and Jimmy Cyclone. They are all making their debut on the podcast on this episode. I spoke to all of them after the open mic last night at the Nelsons in Hoxton, which, side note, they do some fantastic food there. Claire was kind enough to let me have some dumplings. I think there was pork, something that wasn't pork, and shiitake mushrooms, and oh my goodness, they were outstanding. I can't recommend this place enough. And I think talking to these four people, you get some idea of the energy that is just happening in that venue, as well as a little slice of the different type of performers that we have at the open mic. So I spoke to them outside of the venue after I'd finished packing up, and as I mentioned in the conversation, it was getting a bit cold, so I didn't want to spend too long outside. Also, it's in a bit of a residential area, so you don't want to spend too long making noise outside. So this is a bit of a brief drive-by introduction to each person that I speak to, and they let us know where we can find out more about them and what they have coming up in the near future. So once again, for the first time on the Saddest Night Out podcast, you're about to hear me talking to Joseph Hitchcock, aka Paper Anthem, James Crowley, Nicole-Poppy Schade, and Jimmy Cyclone. I'll catch up with you more afterwards, but enjoy these chats. I'm outside the Nelsons in Hoxton. I've been promised there'll only be a couple of fuck trumps, so we'll see where the conversation goes. I'm here with a few performers who are about to be on the podcast for the first time, I believe. Jimmy, have I spoken to you before?
Never.
So it's a first for everyone here. Bye, Jax, love you.
Good night, Jax.
Just saying goodbye to the lovely Jax there. So we have four performers among us. We're going to start on my left here. What is your name?
My name's Joseph Hitchcock. I go by the name Paper Anthem.
How long have you been Paper Anthem?
Since 2014.
And when did you first come to the UK?
2 days ago.
And where have you come here from?
I'm coming from Arkansas in the United States.
So how many other people are in Paper Anthem, or is it just you?
It's just me. I tried to have a band for a while, but I'm so controlling and psychotic that it just doesn't work out, so I hire band members wherever I travel to play shows.
I knew we had something in common. I'm in a very similar situation, so I'm playing a show soon, playing it solo, because it's after your show.
Is it before June 25th? Because I'd love to go if it's before then.
It's on June 25th.
Really? What time?
Yeah,
I'm not that crazy. Never mind.
Well, what time are you flying at? No, worry about that.
Actually, I can't remember.
You might want to look into that before the date comes. But yes, similarly, I make music myself. Tried to get a band together. Sometimes it can be a bit tough trying to get that happening. So can be a bit mercenary about it. So how much music is out there in the ether under Paper Anthem?
I have one album out from 2015. It's on Spotify or iTunes. iTunes is dying soon. Rest in peace. I have two albums coming out. One is coming out September 13th, and another one's coming out early next year.
And you told me about a recent highlight you had with someone you admire recognizing your music. Tell us about that.
Well, last year I was trying to annoy Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol on Twitter, and he was nice enough to listen to one of my songs and then share it because he liked it, I guess.
You got a shout out from Snow Patrol.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
That song is Hills, 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 available on Spotify if you're interested.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph. It's just started to rain, I think, so we'll go as quick as we can. On to our next performer. What's your name?
Hi, I'm James.
James, how long have you been making music?
How have I been making music? Maybe 5 years.
And how long have you been performing it?
But I've been, only releasing like this year. So,
okay, so there were a few years underground honing the craft.
Yeah, just, trying to make some music and decide what I want to say. So, yeah.
We can all sympathise.
Yeah,
so when was the first time you took to the stage? Do you remember that?
Do you know? I did one open mic before I did a UK open mic.
Oh, okay.
In Chiswick. But this was one of the Virgin gigs.
Wow.
Here. Yeah, it was at the Reliance in Shoreditch, which no longer exists.
Yeah,
it was
R.I.P.
a really good night. Like,
I miss it too, man.
People were attentive. It was lovely. It was great.
Well, this place, the Nelsons, hasn't been
Oh,
too bad
no,
either.
it's been amazing. Yeah, this is one of my favourite places to play.
So we're in the early stages of the James Crowley story.
Oh God, yeah. Well, that's,
That sounded a bit official.
I mean,
there.
he hopes, but yeah, who knows? Yeah.
So what's happening over the horizon? What's next?
I've got a headline gig in
Uh-huh.
a month's time, which is super exciting. And
Where are you playing that?
That's at the Seven Jazz Quarters in Dalston, which is
Very
going to
nice.
be really fun. Tickets still available, so anyone wants them, go.
And for those who haven't seen you perform live, where can they find your music?
In Spotify. Spotify's like, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, iTunes, all the major platforms.
The usual. And on social media?
James_Crowley, Crowley, because that does confuse people.
Thank you very much, James. And
But yeah,
looking forward to the next performance.
Oh, I'm also playing Grayson Perry's festival in July, which is super exciting as well.
Wow. So this is the year when you really started kind of performing and getting out
Yes, yeah. This is the first time that I've released. I released for the first time in March, April. Don't remember, but it was sometime this year. And yeah, I'm just sort of trying to have fun with it.
You're not wasting any time. You're getting
I'm
right to
trying.
it. Playing shows, playing
Really
festivals. No, I like the
really
hustle.
trying. Yeah.
One of you is going to be my cash cow at some point.
maybe,
so
yeah.
get out there.
Yeah. I mean, Roy, I want to come to your show. So you fill me in
now
on
you're
the
making me
deets.
blush.
No, fill me in on the deets. This is
I shall
massive.
definitely do that. But real quick, did I catch your social media, Joseph?
Just look up facebook.com/paperanthem, instagram.com/paperanthem, and twitter.com/paperanthemband.
We're all about the plugging here, all about the cross-promotion as much as possible. On to our next performer, who I think might be the newest member of the UK Open Mic family. So what's your name?
My full name is Nicole-Poppy Schade, but people just call me Nicole Schade because no one wants to sit there and yell it out all the time. So,
Well, I'll call you Nicole-Poppy Schade for the podcast, absolutely. So when did you first perform at an open mic?
I think I was 14, so it was about 4 years ago.
Do you remember what it was like? Did you enjoy it? Was it scary?
I did enjoy it, but it was scary at the same time. The crowd was very different from how they are here. Not as supportive, and so I was really scared.
Right. And do you make any of your own music at the moment?
I'm working on it. I've got a bunch of demos, but I'm just like, I don't want to release them because they're about people and it's not like something I want released.
Fair enough. Because so far at our open mics, you've been performing covers.
Yeah.
Is that you getting more comfortable with being on the stage?
Yeah.
How are you finding it?
When I first started doing it, I was really scared. But as time has gone along, I've gotten more confident and I'm starting to lower the backing now, so it's...
We're hearing more of your voice coming through. There were some dance moves, a couple of open mics before. There was a bit of an introduction this time as well. So I'm watching in real time as you're getting more comfortable on the stage. Can I ask, where does your mind tend to go when you're on stage?
Really, I just try to think about, if a song is about something, I tend to try and put myself in that situation so I can actually put emotion to it instead of just nothing, really.
Okay. And is that something you've developed the more you come on stage? You can kind of find what feels right to you when you're up there? Well, it definitely shows, Nicole. Thank you very much. Where can people follow you online?
On Instagram, under Crimson Schade. Schade is spelled Schade. Facebook, Nicole-Poppy Schade. Twitter, Crimson Nicole 02. And I think that's about it.
And just real quick, how many instruments can you play?
Quite a few. I can play piano, xylophone, bass, a little bit of acoustic, a little bit of electric, and a little bit of drums as well.
A walking one-person orchestra right here. Nicole, thank you very much for your time. And on to our final guest on today's episode. What is your name, kind sir?
Jimmy Cyclone is my name.
Jimmy, how long have you been playing music in London?
The whole time. About 1 year and 10 months.
Where have you come to London from?
Brisbane, Australia.
How long have you been in the UK in general?
1 year and 10 months.
Oh, so literally came...
Straight,
can you tell them
straight
pro?
to London. Straight to London, Roy. I'm on the 2-year visa, so it's all winding down now. And
were you making music and performing back in Brisbane?
I was doing a couple of projects, mate. Yeah, I had a little 3-piece band called Paradise Salvage Co. Then I did a 2-piece with one of my best mates called Sinking Schooners. However, coming over here, I definitely had the intention of going solo, and here we are today.
Are you making new music as a solo act as well?
Absolutely, mate, yeah. I'm more inspired and writing as much or more than I've ever written before, mate. So it's exciting times, definitely.
I'd heartily agree. And you've done quite a lot of covers while you've been with us as well. Who are some of the artists that you've covered or that inspire your music?
Say Bob Dylan, the Beatles, huge influences. I'm also quite a fan of the country music, like Johnny Cash, Slim Dusty. Just generally sort of classics, really. No one really of the contemporary era that I could name off the top of my head. Yeah,
It's the old school. They call them classics for a reason.
do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So what about yourself? The new classic in the making. Is there anything recorded out there at the moment yet, or is it still percolating?
I've got an EP on Spotify. The first EP is entitled Look Towards the Skies, and I've also just recently released a couple of singles, and I'm currently recording second EP as we speak, actually. So
Okay.
It's exciting times ahead for Jimmy Cyclone, but generally I'm just trying to fly under the radar and just get some material under my belt before I sort of, take myself too seriously with the music thing.
That's fair enough. So
Hence the covers, hence
Yeah.
why I'm happy to turn up to these open mics, covers, more arrows to the quiver, and it's just all about the thrill of performing, really.
very poetic turn of phrase there, more arrows to the quiver. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before. I'm stealing that for a lyric.
Please do,
Thank you
please
very
do.
much. And where can people find you online? What can they search for?
I'm really pushing the SoundCloud at the moment. What I'm doing is every time I make a demo, straight on the SoundCloud. Unfortunately, I've only got approximately 17 or 18 followers, so I'm not really reaching the audience. But everything I do is straight on the SoundCloud. If I take it seriously, it will go on Spotify. And it's on all the platforms, really, my EP and my 2 singles. But I've definitely got like a sort of relaxed approach to making music, so hence why I like the SoundCloud thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I
More
think it's a shame that not more people are invested in SoundCloud, because it's free, it's hassle free.
Yeah.
It's a free app on your phone, any web browser, anytime it's there. You can upload your music in high quality. Bandcamp's another big one. I'm on Bandcamp as well. Really underrated sort of platform in my books. For example, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, XYZ. You've got to pay to put your music on there, don't you?
Yeah.
But if you're really an underground artist, then like SoundCloud and Bandcamp are the go-tos. I mean, look at Arctic Monkeys, mate. They started out on MySpace Music. MySpace Music, free platform. Now Alex Turner's living down the road. He's killing it. He's like top 5 rock bands in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
not
MySpace
bad.
Music, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm a big advocate for SoundCloud, to be honest with you.
And is that Jimmy Cyclone?
Like a thunderstorm.
Here to blow you away. Jimmy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you all very much for your time. It stopped raining, but it's absolutely freezing out here, so I'll let you get back inside. And yeah, I will post links to all of your stuff at the end of the episode as well.
Beautiful.
Get home safe, folks, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
No one said fuck Trump.
Oh shit! I knew we forgot something.
And that was that. Thank you once again to Joseph, James, Nicole, and Jimmy. I will put links to where you can find out more about them in the notes for this episode. I forgot to mention at the start of the episode that I am playing some shows in the very near future. That's how long it's been. I've been away from this for too long. So, the day after tomorrow, Sunday, the 16th of June, I am playing at the Stag's Head in Hoxton, along with a bunch of other musicians from different music collectives. Should be a really interesting evening. It starts at 5 o'clock. Tuesday, 25th of June, I am playing at Road Trip and the Workshop on Old Street, and that one starts at 7:30. I'm playing with Delilah Black, Its Own Animal, and Juliet and Nanette. I am all over the place mentally. The procrastination, it's back, and it's back with a vengeance, hence it being a week since I last posted an episode. Although in that time, thank you very much to Tyler Gilbert, who was on a previous episode. And also to Tyler Gilbert's brother-in-law. So Tyler very much enjoyed it. He listened back to this episode, he enjoyed it, he shared it with his friends and family, etc., which really warms my heart that people enjoy this experience enough that they want to share it with their close ones. because that is very much the intention. I'm glad that sometimes ends up being the case. One of the people that Tyler shared it with reached out to me on Twitter and on Instagram saying, hey, you interviewed my brother-in-law. Thanks for doing that. It was great. Can I share it? Can I make a post about it on my Instagram? And I said, sure, go ahead. I have no idea who this person is. I'm just grateful that anyone enjoyed this enough to reach out to me. So then I think, okay, let me click on that person's profile and see who they are. And they happen to have 14,000 followers on Instagram. I couldn't help but laugh to myself when I saw this. I just thought, you never know whose path you're going to cross and who you're going to end up reaching in doing something like this. I'm just over the moon that I am reaching anyone. So thank you very much to Tyler. And I'm just trying to find out Tyler and Tyler's brother-in-law, Dan. Undone Dan, UNDONEDAN is the profile that shared that episode with Tyler. So thank you both very much for that. Thank you to Nielsen for our anniversary episode, and his new single Milk Train is available today on streaming services. Do go out and check that out. Let's support our fellow creators here. I've got to be honest, I'm in this weird space where I can't remember where I learned this, but there's a difference between envy and jealousy. One of them is where you want what someone else has, and the other is where you are scared that someone will take what you have. I think jealousy is when you are scared someone will take what you have. That's why you can say I'm a jealous boyfriend or girlfriend, because you're scared someone's going to take your partner away. And envy is when you want what someone else has. And I am very much steeped in envy right now, but mixed. It's an interesting blend of envy and inertia. When I spoke to Nielsen, he was talking about he's got a bit of a backlog of songs that he's ready to put out. He's got a release schedule in mind. He's got a producer he's working with. When I first spoke to him, as he said himself, he had very recently moved to London. He was, going from place to place. Nothing was really settled. And now here he is, regularly releasing music on Spotify. Why aren't I doing that? There's another artist I have spoken to on this podcast before who goes by the name of Lou, L-O-U-X, or Luther, L-O-U-X-S-R. I can't remember the episode number when I spoke to him, but I helped him out recently in setting up his next show because he is releasing his EP in 2 Thursdays' time, Thursday 27th, 2 days after my show at Road Trip and the Workshop. He's got visuals up, he's got a DJ playing with him. His whole approach feels a lot more established. Why aren't I doing that? The people that I just spoke to on this episode, Joseph travelled across the globe to play a show in London. And very similar to me, he's had a bit of issues. He's had some issues getting a band together, so he hires a band. Why aren't I doing that? James Crowley playing a headline show, I think charging tickets, playing festivals. Why aren't I doing that? I'm looking at my contemporaries, and this was part of why I am doing this in the first place, to look at my contemporaries and see what they're doing to try and motivate myself to really pull my finger out and get on with it. And that's just what I've been struggling with lately. I mean, today has been another one of those days where you order food from Uber Eats and use that as a timer to get stuff done. So I was thinking, okay, it'll take half an hour for the food to get here. That's enough time to wash the dishes and iron some clothes and do some tidying up, just to force myself out of this inertia of doing nothing. I'm really stuck in that zone where 1 minute it's 11, the next minute it's 5 p.m. And it's like, oh, well, there goes my day. Guess I've got to get going now. And that's what I'm really trying to fight. So at my most recent open mics, I've put out a bit of a call for help, an SOS, to the performers there. I've said, I have a podcast, it's supposed to be daily, but I haven't put an episode up for almost a week now. I need your help. I want to talk to all of you. So reach out to me online, etc. And I want to fill my calendar. As I've said before on this podcast, and that's another thing, how many times am I going around in circles with objectives that I'm trying to achieve? But I said to everyone, I think what might help me most in getting out of this funk is involving others, because when you are the only one in charge of your deadline, you are the easiest person to give an excuse to and push back the deadline. But when you've got other people involved, then there's more of an impetus to keep that train going because there are other passengers on board. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy, but hopefully it makes sense. So I had a rehearsal with Sean and the Paperboat Collective at the Engine Rooms, which is by Bow Road Station. Got talking to Isaac, who works there, who owns the place. So he is someone I would like to talk to in the near future. And then a few performers from recent open mics have reached out to me online, which was very much the intention. So hopefully I can slowly but surely fill up my days with interviews and keep these episodes coming, and then get back to... I've got a show in 2 days. I know what I want to perform, but what I want to perform isn't finished, and I've had all this time to do so, and heaven forbid I'm in this situation with the road trip and the workshop show. But I know, knowing myself, I could very easily fall into that trap again. So I'm trying to make the effort to not fall into the last minute loophole and actually put effort into what it is I want to do. Because I think any student out there or former student, basically anyone who's ever had to do a test or finish an assignment by a deadline, can probably sympathize with the notion that if you leave it till the last minute and you don't get the best mark for your work, at least you have that crutch to lean on. You can say, yeah, well, I did it last minute. If I put in more time, I might have received a better result. That's not a good way to live, because you're really just shackling yourself if that's your approach to everything. And right now, that is my approach to everything. So I'm trying to break that cycle by reaching out to other people. So if there's anyone listening to this who has found out about my podcast via the open mics or whatever, still haven't posted that video on Facebook, etc., that I've been meaning to do. I'll get there. Haven't even posted a Facebook event for the show that I'm playing. I mean, Juliet, God bless her, she's made flyers to give out. Why aren't I doing that? Come on, Roy. You're better than this. You've come a long way. 160 odd episodes. There is that work ethic in you somewhere. You just have to activate it. You've got to plug it back in again and get it going once more. But thank you once again to Joseph and James and Nicole and Jimmy for talking to me. Sorry for spiraling off into this little bit of a rant. Also, episode 2 of this podcast, when I spoke to Emily Bennett. Back then, she was talking about this idea she had for a podcast called Call Your Mom, which would be conversations between mothers and daughters. So that go, beneath the surface of just, hi, how are you, fine, and you, fine. No, actually getting to know each other. Daughters seeing their mums in ways they haven't before. She has made that podcast. It's called Call Your Mom. There are 2 episodes up at the moment. I've just listened to the trailer and already I've been knocked off my feet. And it's way more professional than my podcast. It sounds amazing. It sounds like there's some really heartfelt conversations had. I can't wait to listen to the rest of it. I'm a real junkie. In fact, that's another motivating factor for me to make this podcast. Now that I listen to most of my podcasts on Spotify, and I too am on Spotify, I can see myself, when a podcast puts up a new episode, it moves to the top of your feed and it says updated yesterday, updated Monday, updated today. If my podcast is truly a daily podcast, it should always be at the top of your feed, because every day I should have a new episode out. And to see my podcast slip further and further down, updated yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever. Come on, Roy. If this is meant to be daily, you're meant to stay up there in that feed. Let's get back to work. I'm also getting more comfortable with these episodes being longer. As well as reaching out to people, because I know I can talk to people via Skype and have conversations that aren't face-to-face, I am very much intending to get to my open mics earlier, so that whoever else gets there early, also an added incentive to come to the open mics and get there early. Whoever else is there early, I will talk to them, because I really do want to just gather as many stories as possible. So these episodes might get longer and longer in length. I hope you're okay with it. I'm okay with it, so if you're not okay with it, I guess tough, because I'm going to do it anyway, but just to get as many stories as possible, because everyone in this town has a story to tell, especially if you're doing something creative, and I just want to provide as many people as possible an outlet to share that story with potentially as many people as possible, because I know how it feels to make something and feel like you are in a void where no one cares about it except for you. Okay, that was a bit of a purge of a whole bunch of stuff that's just been on my mind. I am in serious danger of being late for today's open mic, And we can't have that happening after all I've just said. So thank you very much for listening. Once again, got a couple of shows coming up, the first of which is this Sunday at the Stag's Head in Hoxton. That starts at 5. And Tuesday, 25th of June at Road Trip and the Workshop. That starts at 7:30. Nielsen Reevely has a new song out called Milk Train today. Go check that out. I've gone completely blank. James Crowley has some shows coming up. Joseph, aka Paper Anthem, is playing a show next Thursday. And I will put a link to where you can find him online so you can find out more details about that. Go check out Nicole's SoundCloud. Go check out Jimmy Cyclone's SoundCloud and Bandcamps, etc. And I will try once again to get back to work. That feels like a good place to stop. This could be another half hour worth of me just talking and talking. I'll spare you that for now. Thank you once again to anyone who has been sharing this podcast online. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will... I'm putting it out there. I'm speaking it into existence. The next episode will be tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves.